Okay, all right, you can stay. Okay, but be good. Well, we have a very dark, overcast day today, and a little cat here. Say hi. Hopefully, it won't be so dark that the video is oppressive, but Mother Nature is just not cooperating, and I waited until very late in the day with the hopes of the sun peeking out. Just didn't happen. So we are going to push ahead, even though it would be nice if it were brighter. Today, we're going to take a look at Lutz Antiques. As I mentioned the last time, I got a lot of film footage, so I have a whole lot of stuff to share with you. And let's see how much we can get through in this video. We'll be right back. Yes, hi. Well, how about we just get right into it, because I've got so much stuff to show you, and we should talk about this stuff too. So let me start with a Victorian Whatnot and a lamp table. Definitely not of the same vintage. So let's take a look. Here we have a walnut turned corner chair, and this is $90. Very sweet little piece. And this is a combination lamp and table. A Victorian style, but obviously not Victorian. Sale, $180. That Whatnot is beautiful. It's really not my style. My style is Eastlake, as you know, and steampunk, and that's not steampunk or Eastlake. But as I was going through Lutz, looking at the furniture they have, I was just sort of looking around my own home saying, gee, I would like this, I would like that. I don't have any place to put a piece like that. Corners are in very short supply here, and even if I did have a corner, I'm just not sure how well that would go with the rest of my furniture. But gee, it was so tempting because the condition was very good. And as I mentioned in the filming, when you want to buy a piece like this, you want to look at the fretwork. Make sure all the fretwork is intact, because pieces like that are very easily damaged. Yes, they will be in a corner. A corner will be in an out-of-the-way spot, but still, because the fretwork is usually very delicate, somebody really wants attention. Because the fretwork is very delicate, it's very easy to break off a little piece here and there. And because it's often very intricately styled, it's also quite hard to tell. You have to go over the pieces very, very carefully. Again, use your fingers. It'll tell you a lot more than your eyes will. And because they have finials everywhere, you have to check every single finial. I think that piece had 7 or 8 finials on different levels. And you want to check the bottom area, because that's where they're likely to get kicked and scuffed by people walking by. Ordinarily, with a Whatnot, the bottom levels are wider than the top levels. They sort of scale back as they go up, so that your top shelf will be small, and then the next shelf will be a little larger, and so on down to the bottom. And as a consequence, the bottoms often get kicked, they get scuffed, they get dinged. So you want to take a really, really good look at them. That piece was in great condition. That was a good price. It's not coming home with me because I just don't have a spare corner. The lamp table, though, was a more modern piece. Pieces like that were popular in the mid-century, around the time of the Second World War. They probably achieved their greatest popularity when a lamp would be integrated into the table. So you would have your table and then your wooden turned dowel or rod, which would be hollow, and it would contain the lamp wires, and then you would have the lamp. And people just thought this was ever so clever. And in fact, it was. I mean, it was nice. You didn't have a separate lamp. You bought one piece of furniture. I'm way too fond of lamps, just lamps all by themselves, to even think about the idea of a turned wooden spindle for a lamp. Oh, good heavens. Well, no, wait, here. There it is. See, that's what a lamp is supposed to look like. And that, by the way, is probably one of the less interesting lamps I have around here. So, the fact is that for me, no. But for your average 1940s homeowner, the idea of being able to go out, get the table, just pop a shade on the lamp. In fact, they usually came with shades, and you're good to go. It made sense to them. But they fell out of fashion relatively quickly. To tell the truth, I'm not really sure why. We saw a resurgence of that in the 50s when the lamp would have like a metal pole, and it would be more lamp than table. The one that I showed you was more table than lamp. In the 50s, it was a floor lamp that had tables on it. That one, the one that you saw, which was a 1940s style, was a table that had a lamp. So they tried it in various configurations, and it was just not something that anybody was really crazy about. So the fashion faded. Who knows? Maybe like me, they like their lamps. Next up, we have a chifforobe. So let's take a look at that. Okay, 1940s chifforobe. Interesting piece. And we're right in front of a fan, which is going to blow the price tag. $195 functional, which I believe is referring to that lock and key for this locked cabinet. Notice, this is a little stylized version of an earlier Eastlake design. Now, if this were actually Eastlake, the carving would be a little more sophisticated. So it's a 1940s version thereof. Nice piece, especially for $195. That is a closet for a room that doesn't have a closet. Now that piece was from the mid-century. It was a reproduction of earlier pieces. As you could see, there was the sort of quasi-Eastlake shell carving on the top. I'm saying it was Eastlake because it was a line carved piece, not as sophisticated as Eastlake, but also it harkened back to an older design. If you will recall, when we looked at high boys and low boys, we saw those intricately carved and very deep relief shell carvings. And clearly that was sort of a successor design. That piece was probably a very low-end piece when it was new. It was not a fancy piece. It was not not high quality. That was one of your, $3 out of the Sears catalog kind of pieces. But solid wood, very durable, good clean lines, nothing wrong with that. I find today that a lot of the lower end furniture appeals to me now, today, more than some of the high end furniture. The bookcase over here, Eastlake, that piece was, it came out at a time when the really intricate and ornate high-end Victorian furniture was on the market. This piece would have been considered plain Jane. This would have been considered something for, the impoverished country farm family, not, an elegant piece in an elegant apartment in an elegant city. I love it. I don't know. I guess that means I have very low rent taste. The next thing, and this is another thing that I love, this is an old-fashioned wheelchair. So let's take a look. Here, 345 oak and cane wheelchair with potty seat. That is a great piece, and that really is. And I would bet that is actually working. Incredible. I gotta tell you, I really want to get one of those, and one of these days I will. And that's a really nice one because it has the built-in potty seat. I think those pieces are just beautiful, and they're very eccentric pieces. I would love to be able to go into somebody's house and sit down in their old oak and cane wheelchair. That I'd get a kick out of that. I would not want to use the potty in the living room or anything like that, but I do love those pieces. Even something as fundamentally utilitarian as a wheelchair just had so much style. And I really, really enjoyed looking at that piece. And I can understand why they roped it off, because the temptation to sit in it has to be very, very great. The piece right next to it, now these pieces were all in a row, one right after the other. So I filmed them all together, but I'm separating it so we have a chance to talk about it. The next piece is one of the most useful pieces of furniture you could ever put your hands on. And if I were talking to a young person who was just starting out in their furniture acquisition, I would, just as people did, 60, 70 years ago, actually more than that, it was starting in the 1930s, I would say this should be your first piece of adult furniture. So let's take a look. This fancy 1930s walnut blanket chest, $195. Beautiful piece. West Branch cedar chest. Pieces like this were often called hope chests. Young girls would have a piece like this where they would store the linens that they would be using when they got married. Therefore, hope, in other words, hoping to get married. It was quite a thing. And the Lane Company really made a business out of this. In the 50s and 60s, you could buy a piece like this, time payments, and if you were a young woman working, at your first job, whatever, you would contract with the company, get your hope chest, start filling it, pay them $5 a month or whatever, and it would be the first piece you had for your marriage. And then when you got married, that would go to the foot of the bed and hold your blankets. Great pieces now. These pieces make wonderful coffee or cocktail tables because they're huge and they provide a lot of storage. Yep, the Hope Chest. They were beautiful pieces, just fantastic. Now, I understand that when furniture makers were producing these Hope Chests, they were preying on a young woman's desire to get married and have a family and have her own home and so on and so forth. And I also understand that a lot of the women who would get involved in those Hope Chest contract purchases really could not afford what they were buying. They were paying high finance fees. What was being done was exploiting young women. It really was. But I also have to say the other side of that is you simply cannot put your hands on a more useful piece of furniture. You can store your clothing in it instead of a dresser. You can store your blankets in it. Obviously, you could store your linens and all the little frou-frou things you were saving up for your wedding. You can sit on it. You can eat your dinner off it. You can, well, Alfred Hitchcock showed us you can hide a body in it. If you haven't seen Rope, R-O-P-E, just rope, like clothesline rope or jump rope. If you haven't seen that yet, you need to see it. In my opinion, it's one of Alfred Hitchcock's best movies. It's the 1940s, and Jimmy Stewart was in it. So check out Rope. Yes, the body is in the trunk. It really is. That's not a spoiler. You figure that out very early on. But great piece of furniture. I do not have a blanket chest. I should probably get one day because I have stuff, and let's face it, that's a box. Imagine the stuff you can stick from your hoard into something like that. But I do have a toolbox that I've been using as a coffee table ever since I got it, which was some 40 years ago. That's my coffee table, and it is an old tool chest. I'm crazy for it. I won't give this up because well, it's a box. Okay, there you go. It's a box. But storage pieces like that are great. If you can find one in a style that you like. I do have a blanket chest. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I said I didn't have. I do have one. The reason it slipped my mind is because it got moved into the schoolhouse shortly before the schoolhouse roof collapsed. The roof did not collapse on my blanket chest. My blanket chest is safe, but it's been out there, and I just really never integrated it into the house with the rest of my stuff. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that. I'm so pleased I have a blanket chest. You have no idea. This is a good day for me. I think I'm going to haul that thing in. Nice. Okay, I feel better about myself now. Anyway, if you can find one in a style that you like, that, goes with your furniture or complements it in some way, get it. Absolutely. Mine, we'd have to go back and look at one of the Crazy Lamp Lady videos because I got it when I was with Jocelyn, and I probably didn't pay more than $25 for it. You can find one of those, $25. Oh yeah, massive deal. So now that I'm feeling good about myself, let's take a look at the next piece. And this is an Eastlake bureau. Okay, $6.75. What we have here is an Eastlake bureau. And I can tell you quite a lot about this Eastlake bureau because I have a dresser to match. Right down to the hardware. My hardware is replacement, and I would bet money this is replacement hardware too. Looking at the age, it was probably replaced around the same time I replaced the hardware on my dresser. So I'm not too worried about it. That would be like 40-year-old hardware. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture of my dresser. So here we go. Now, you saw my dresser. You can see it's very much the same style. And the hardware is the same. So this is how I know that hardware was not original, because my hardware was reproduction hardware that was made from originals, but these pieces did not have that kind of hardware originally. Originally, they would have had a soft sort of back plate that was less angular. The one that I put on mine was very Eastlake in style. The Eastlake dressers, bureaus did not have them in that Eastlake style. I know you're probably thinking, wait, it's Eastlake. They didn't. No, they did not. They tended to have them in, and my cat is playing with the camera because he wants attention. They were much more rounded. And I will make sure to get a picture of that for you. This kind of rounded hardware was pressed tin, or sometimes pressed brass. It would have been pressed brass for the higher end pieces. Softer, more Art Nouveau, more curved lines. The thing is, because it was pressed and it was so thin, the back plate of the handle would get bumped and dented very, very easily, because they were creating a three-dimensional appearance with something that didn't even have the thickness of a throwaway aluminum pie plate. I mean, really, they were just push them and you'd leave a dent. So I never liked them. When I got my dresser, first thing I did was got the Repro hardware. That particular hardware was modeled off a piece that came out of the UK, was not used in America. It's appropriate for the time, but it's a reproduction piece. It did not come on that dresser. And I know because, as I say, I did the research to find my piece many, many years ago, and I made the same choice, probably for the very same reason, because I wanted something that was stylistically more compatible with my Eastlake piece. But I found that very interesting because, frankly, I never expected that anybody else was going to do that. They did. Good for them. And it's very validating for me. We're going to do two more pieces, I think, and I'm afraid this is going to turn us over the half-hour mark. I'm trying to keep these half an hour. But let's very quickly look at a vintage brass and iron bed. All right, this bed is brass and iron. The painted parts would be iron. And it could be brass plate. Vintage, 245. It says it is a 3/4 bed. Now, 3/4 is not a size we have anymore. It's somewhere between a twin and a full. And if you're using a 3/4 bed, you can probably put a full-size mattress on it if you don't mind it overhanging a little. But, they say it's a vintage bed, and that would be correct. This is not an antique. But given the fact that it's a 3/4 bed, it's definitely not what I would consider modern either. All right, we know that's vintage because that's a 3/4 size. And I don't think they have made 3/4 sizes since the 1940s. I would be surprised if they were still being produced in the 1950s. So that's very old. And just as a point of interest, a twin bed is 39 by 75 inches. So it's about a little over 3 feet by a little over 6 feet. A full bed is 54 by 75. So that's 4.5 feet by 6 feet. A queen size is 60 inches by 80. So this one, the queen is 5 feet by, what are we at 80? We are looking at close to 7 feet. A king is 76 by 80. A California king is 72 by 84. And those are the standard sizes of beds. A 3/4 is 48 by 72, so it's 4 by 6. That makes it a relatively small bed for an adult. It would make it too small for a lot of adult males, but it makes it a very good size for a child, basically 4 by 6. It's not that much smaller than a full, but we don't see those anymore. But bed sizes are standard and within an inch or two, because you'll always find a little bit of variation, especially with the older pieces, because they kind of did what they wanted to do. If it was, close enough, it was close enough. Interesting bed. What do you do when you end up with a 3/4 size bed? Keeping in mind that many of these beds are, they're not even standard sizes. They weren't even standard sizes way back when. If you're dealing with antique beds, what happens when you have an oddball size? Well, the people who make those memory foam mattresses, you can contact them and they will be able to make you a mattress in a custom size. If the size is not too big, it's not going to be very expensive. So if you wanted something like a 3/4 bed, you could go to one of those memory foam companies and give them your dimensions. They'll make it up. It probably would not cost you any more than an ordinary decent box spring and mattress set. So don't look at that and say, well, I can't get a mattress for it, or I can't get a box spring for it, or whatever, because yeah, you can. And that's the great thing about the modern mattress industry. Most of those memory foam mattresses are made on your order. In other words, they don't even start the process until you call them up and say, I want a queen size mattress, when can you deliver it? They start extruding that foam after you make the phone call. They don't even keep stock. They basically make it as you order it. So definitely an option. Final piece, and as I say, I know we're going over, but you got to see this. This is a Metroscope viewer. Now, this piece is something you don't see every day. Let's move up. Notice our little coin slot and our little viewing area. Restored Metroscope viewer set to free vend, $9.75. This sort of thing is a very rare piece. Betcha never saw one of those before, huh? Great, great piece. Very unusual. That is a novelty piece. That's the sort of thing that is probably not going to go into a household. It's probably going to go into a business of some sort, maybe a restaurant, where people would be interested in buying it in order to entertain their customers. All right. I know we're way over in terms of time. My apologies. And by the way, we barely scratched the surface on all the film footage I have from Lutz. So we're going to be seeing a lot of this. Do not forget about the peacock vase. That's all this week. We are having that giveaway. Be sure to get your name in on one of the videos. Also, check your subscriptions, because I checked through my YouTube subscriptions, and once again, I have fallen away from channels that I subscribe to. And I was wondering why I wasn't getting notifications. So, subscribe, hit the notification bell, please, because I saw it happening to me, may well be happening to you. And if you see the unfortunate porn comments in the videos, it's usually a little icon of a naked or semi-naked woman saying, "I like boys. Hi, I want to be your friend. Hey, take me home tonight." Please report it to YouTube. Just hit the little buttons and report it as porn. Or let me know and I will. I have been reporting them like crazy. I am getting a minimum of a half a dozen per video. Heaven knows why. My demographic is not teenage boys, and I'm assuming theirs is. My demographic is largely women over 50, and I cannot imagine what they think we must be up to, but that's not it. You know, we're going to have to straighten them out on this. But yes, that is becoming a thing with this. It is what it is. It's life on YouTube. But this is a family-friendly channel. I don't want any kids who might be watching this to click on one of those out of curiosity, by accident, or maybe because they are a teenage boy and this is what they live for. So, yeah, if you see it, either report it or let me know. All right, have a great day, everyone. I will see you all on Wednesday.